everyone, I'm very glad to see you here. My name is Aliaksandr Savitski and I have been working in EPAM since 2019, and my current role is head of DevOps GCP discipline in our Baltic region. But actually before EPAM I had opportunity to work as a support engineer, systems engineer, IT manager, and in my previous job I worked as a head of operations. So actually reliability is a very close topic to me and actually very painful. So let's see our agenda for today. First of all, I'm gonna make a short overview about site reliability engineering. Then I'm gonna move to some of the core site reliability engineering concepts, and we'll guide you with maybe possible first steps how to implement this. And in the end, of course, we're gonna have some Q&A sessions, so you would have opportunity to ask questions, and I will try to answer them. So let's start. Again, it's a site reliability engineering overview, and I believe you maybe heard about some big outages in very famous platforms and services. And actually, the more popular the product or service is, the more biggest impact business have. And for today, our clients and our users may easily find any alternative on the market. So actually that's why reliability as a topic should never be compromised. And SRE as a methodology may help here. So SRE may help to keep your systems up, to optimize some of the process, and also organize some cross-team communications and many more. It was born in the Google, and in the Google decided just to try use more software engineering mindset and skills for doing some operations work that was historically done by operations. And as a result from this experiment, for today we have 3 described books that describe this approach very well. And I think that site reliability engineering is a topic that could be helpful for any title and any role inside your team, for example. So what is SRE about? First of all, it's about delivering organizational strategic promises more reliable. Also, it's about a mindset. You need to break down the silos between different teams. It's very important for the site reliability engineering. Also, it's a well-structured discipline with a well-described approach. It's some kind of cultural shift that defines reliability and stability as the most critical features. And site reliability engineering is keeping focus on scalable and reliable systems. If we are talking about what site reliability engineering is not, it's definitely not only about monitoring and on-call activities. Of course, they are included both, and monitoring, I would say, is a kind of platform to start implementing some site reliability engineering principles. But again, it's also about additional process and cross-team communications. Site reliability engineers are definitely not system administrators. The focus of both of these teams are very different. SRE can't be as a one-size-fits-all, because you definitely need to have some additional teams with different focus and additional responsibilities. And SRE definitely not is a replacement for the software engineering teams. So what value SRE may bring to your team? And one of the important things is that helps to ensure that your services meet customer expectations. And I would say from my point of view that customer expectations and customer satisfactions are both the most critical topics in the site reliability engineering. Also, site reliability engineering may help to organize and balance priorities. For example, between realizing new features and reliability of your systems. Also, it can reduce the impact of incidents, and SRE as a methodology may help to be prepared for the incident, because it includes many different processes and organizations how to review your systems and products. Additionally, it can help to organize balance between cost and availability, because we need to understand that if we would like to have as available system as possible, we need to pay a lot of money. And yeah, additionally, it's about organizational resilience and measurement returns on investments. And few words about DevOps and SRE as a philosophies. Actually, they very similar, and they have a very similar skill set for the people who are trying to implement them. But most important thing here is that they have different focus. So in case of DevOps, it was created to break down the silos between developers and operations. So our developers would like to deliver as much feature as possible during the sprint, as example. And our operations would like to keep our system stable and do not touch anything and do not change anything. So DevOps as a methodology tried to break this. And for today, I would say that I see many system engineers who are trying implementing DevOps and just increase time to market. Automate everything, also add some pipelines that covering everything, but no one's think about the customer. So site reliability engineering focus on the customer expectations and satisfaction and on availability or reliability. So great thing that we as engineers, we may use best practices from both of these approaches. So let's go a little bit deeper and discuss some of the core SRE concepts. But I would like to start from main implementation principles, like what platform we have and what we need to focus on. And first one, it's a metrics and monitoring. So as I mentioned previously, SRE as approach use a lot of monitoring features, and additionally describes some additional metrics that we can use for measuring our customer satisfaction, as an example. We need to focus on capacity planning. So if we understand our systems, our platforms, their capacity, utilized resources, that we can be prepared more for future incidents and understand our bottlenecks. If we are talking about change management, I believe some kind of process realized everywhere and every team used that in some way. But again, we need to remember that every change can be unsuccessful or even dangerous for our platform or overall solution. If you're talking about emergency response, so I would say many different outages may be resolved much faster if previously emergency response was configured pretty well. And we need to remember that SRE is a culture, and it tries to break a lot of silos between different teams, and you also need to be prepared to be open-minded and communicate a lot with different teams and even with business, provided, for example, for business some metrics and describe some possible ways. Okay, let's move forward and let's talk a little bit about implementation, or just about SLI, SLO, and SLA. I believe that most of you know something about SLA, that is service level agreement. And usually it's just some agreement between some company and user or customer. Usually they describe some metrics and level of the service that we as a company will provide to the end user. Additionally, and also very important thing, that there we described some penalties that will be paid to the customer if we failed our level of the service. So site reliability engineering add additional metrics as a SLI, service level indicator. So it's just kind of your metric in the monitoring system that reflects the best to the customer experience. So it's some kind of metric that provides to you visibility and understanding how feels our customer. Is it everything working fine for him? So this kind of metric may be defined as an SLA. After this, when we defined all our possible SLI and we understand that they reflect to the customer expectations, we may define and set up SLO. What is service level objective? It's also some kind of metric inside your monitoring system that set reachable target for your team about the service of about the level of your services. So it's only internally, only for your team, or maybe for the company, but it's some kind of objective before SLA that provides to you visibility about level of your service. I believe with some examples will be easier. Let's imagine that we have number of successful requests to our service, full amount of requests. And of course we, I hope, have number of successful requests. So this can be defined as an SLA, because our customers will be unhappy if half of all requests will be failed, right? So we can define it as an SLI, and next step we may define additional metric or configure it in the monitoring. The number of requests to the service that completed in 250 milliseconds. So speed of successful response. So also can be defined as a possible SLI. And we would like to organize some service level objective or SLO. So we use both of these metrics and configure the rule that 99.9% of requests to our service are successful and they need to be completed in 250 milliseconds or less. So that is our level of the service that we as a team would like to keep and provide to the customer. It's only our internal metric. We can maybe fail it, but it provides to us enough visibility that we should do with that something. So here actually maybe two different ways, but I will speak about them a little bit later. And here we can compare SLO with our SLA. For example, maybe we start up and we decided to prepare SLA for our customers, and is set as number of the requests that were successful in 500 milliseconds. So you may see here some difference between SLO and SLA in the speed, of course. So actually it provides to you, as for technical team, some window. And during this window you see that level of the service already failed and customers already starting to be unhappy, getting some errors. But we still didn't fail our SLA, right? And maybe we defined SLO in the wrong way and we need to tune it, right? So also additional possible way. And if we set our SLI and SLO, it provides also additional platform for configuring error budget. So error budget is actually amount of errors that your service can accumulate over some period of time before your users start being unhappy. So this error budget can be pretty actually like easy calculated. Let's define that we set some kind of SLO, service level objective, for us as a, for example, availability, and we set it as 99%. That means that we understand that 1% of errors we like expect them. We know that we possibly will get them because like availability as a 100%, it's like unreachable almost metric, I would say, because we have a lot different dependency from the platforms, different vendors, even from the internet connection. So it's unreachable metric, right? So we expect some 1% of possible errors and problems, and this is our error budget. And how can we use this error budget? At least two possible ways could be here. First one, if we didn't fail any SLO, SLA, and didn't spend any, for example, our error budget, so last releases were successful, no any incidents, that means that we have opportunity to run some tests. What kind of tests? Is like, for example, it's configuration of your platform, of your services. You may decrease some your resources. You, for example, understand that some of the change that you was scared to deliver to the customer is somewhere in the backlog. It's time to try it. We understand that our customers will be impacted for some period of time, but we have a error budget. We worked just excellent, and wasn't any impact on our users during some period of time. So let's try this. So if we understand that impact will be in the few minutes, as an example, so we can spend a year budget for this experiment. And additional thing, it's the decision making. So other situation, if we already failed our SLO, if we understand that during the last month we spent all our year budget, and we definitely need to keep our users happy, that can that provides to you information that next release maybe should be rescheduled. Like to release some big release, it's not a great idea, because if something goes wrong, our users will be not happy and angry. So it's pretty good metric for decision making, I would say. And let's move to the more process way, and talk about toils. So actually toils, it's some kind of routine procedures that you have doing your work. I believe many of you do. So in the book it's classified as some work that can be automative, it's repetitive, it's a manual, it's a technical, and it's grows with the growth of your service. And site reliability engineering as approach says that toils is very bad. And it is bad, first of all, because here we can have human errors, a lot of human errors. It's the first one. Secondly, I can provide some example. If you deleting some tables inside your database after every release, it can be like work. It can be like work that you can done in the seconds. I don't know, in the minutes, right? But if your service is growing, after few months you may have 50 different tables that you should delete, and actually 2 additional databases instances. So it easily may eat all your work if you didn't plan reducing this toil. And additionally, of course, it can be bad because you as an engineer, I believe, ready for more interesting tasks, right? And you're definitely interested to like doing some interesting things, and not like some manual job. So, and again, most important thing here is that we reducing toil, and in the same time we are reducing possible human errors. And site reliability engineering describes this in this way that we need to reduce toil. At least we need to put it in backlog, we need to estimate that, and we need to set correct priorities for this. So I believe for now many engineers put it as with low priorities. So now it's definitely like may have at least normal priorities, right? Okay, let's move forward. And let's talk about postmortems. And again, actually, I believe that you discuss at least every incident on the production within your team, like how it could be possible, who made this, who breed this, and who will be fired maybe. Yeah, because actually postmortems as a procedure, it's well known in the technical industry. But overall, it's some kind of report that prepared after every outage or incident in the production. And it includes like details of the incident, timeline, actions that was taken, impact, trigger, root causes. So it's a big, possibly big document that prepared by whole team after some analysis. But most important thing here in the postmortems, it's action items that we describe to prevent possible outages in the future. So this information, like, yeah, it's very important for understanding, but we need to sum up and understand what we should do to prevent some kind of problems in the future. And additionally, in SRE, it's described as blameless culture. Like, we don't need to blame someone if he breaks our production. Sorry, human errors, it happens. And actually, it's a very good approach. Postmortems should not be written only as a formal procedure. Because if you prepared postmortem, described, provided to your boss, and then put it in the table, it doesn't matter actually. So, because we need to have action items, we need to know what we should do. Maybe we found some bottlenecks and we need to fix them. And one more thing, it's postmortems should be shared between the teams, actually as wide as possible. It's very good also approach because it provides like technical education for the different teams in your company. They will understand more about how processes are going, what the platforms are used, and so on. It's the first one, like education. We educate each other and share information between each other. And second thing, it's you may get some additional and very important information from other teams after like postmortem. So, for example, some of the QA specialists will come and say, hey, I saw you describe some problems that we fixed. I saw this problem on some server during my work in the previous sprint. So it can provide to you more details and, like, again, information sharing. And last but not least, it's about like returns on investment from the site reliability engineering. And if you imagine that you decided to try implement some of the SRE approaches and techniques, how to measure this? How to understand that you are going to the correct way? How to understand that this works fine? So we have 3 metrics. MTDD, it's a mean time to detect. It's a period of time from the incident beginnings and until like it's found by someone, or maybe customer came and said, hey, our site doesn't work. So MTTR, it's a mean time to recover. It's the amount of times that we spent after we getting information about incident until our service works as expected for the user, of course. And MTBF, it's a mean time between failures. So how often we have some outages or incidents in our production? Great to have all 3 these metrics inside your monitoring system. In some cases it's impossible, I think, but it's great to have this, even if you're not implementing site reliability engineering, because it will provide to you enough information inside your bottlenecks of the processes, as an example. And in case if we are trying to implement SRE, we definitely would like to decrease our MTDD and MTTR metrics, right? We don't want to spend an hour to get information that our product is down. And same for the recovery. And definitely we would like to increase our MTBF. So first step is start to collecting this information, to maybe note this if it is possible to configure inside your monitoring. And it will guide you step by step which processes and which techniques implement to increase or decrease some of this time. And in the end, if you are interested in the site reliability engineering approach, Google has special resource that's named sre.google. It's a starting point with many very good and useful links to the books. For now we have 3 different books. Site reliability engineering provides information about main definitions, processes, and some maybe possible solutions. Workbook provides more detail about implementation and practice from the practical experience of you. And observability is focusing on observability details, so nothing special here. And also in this resource you may find some courses and education portals, I would say, even with practical. So Google provided very great practical lessons about implementation of SLI and SLO. And definitely, if you're interested in this topic, I would suggest at least to read maybe first book. It will be helpful, I believe, for every engineer, because it provides a lot of useful information. So that's it all from my side. Thank you. So, yeah.
You have mentioned postponing the deployment as one of the defensive tactics not to meet the error budget. So, are there any other ways? Recommendations what to do in case you're out of the budget?
Well, actually, I would say that it's blocking every changes. So you need to collect your budget back, because your budget is some metric that is set up for some period of time. For example, 1 month, few sprints, something like that usually. So you need to just keep your system and solution as stable as possible and collect the error budget back. So any possible ways, but usually it's about change management and release process. Yeah.
My question was about, again, error budget. I understand that error budget is something year-wide, or it's just, as you said before, just 2 or 3 sprints, because there might be situations. My question is how to best approach how to spend it. For example, when push changes, you told just check the backlog, that's probably not the best approach, just check backlog and try new features. Can you suggest something about spending this budget?
So actually, like, as far as I remember, SRE is not like suggest to use some special period of time, because period of time for collecting this error budget is very depends on the company, like and overall company processes. As an example, it was provided like month or 3 months, as far as I remember. But definitely you can send it for some period of time that more suits you as a like engineer or as a team. It's about time period. About spending, like as I answered previously, right? For some experiments on Visio productions. But second thing, it's just you need to understand how many impacts on users you had. So I don't think that I know something else. It's just like information for you.
Thanks.
Sir, organizational-wise, how do you actually organize or you manage applying these strategies and principles among different products and different teams? Because they probably have to choose these items, how to waste their error budget on their own, right?
Okay, well, actually, from the implementation point of view, usually, again, first steps, it's came to the project, review existing infrastructure, solution, what we have, and review the monitoring configuration. So, do they have enough visibility about customer experience? Then, after reviewing all of this, implementation like additional metrics, customer satisfactions, SLI, SLO, and providing this to the business. And then, as a like third or fourth steps, it's just configuring possible error budget and providing information that we are collecting this metric. Please agree that we gonna run some tests or degrease our systems or do something that really dangerous for our clients. So I would describe it in that way if you're talking about topics that I've described here. Because many different topics.
Do you actually adjust those principles you apply to the specific project? Because obviously some medical equipment needs higher resilience than just a coffee shop.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. Absolutely true. And like medical equipment trying to achieve 100 SLA because health. Yeah, that's true. But it's again, it depends on the projects. Like, and it depends. Like, are we trying to implement S3 from the beginning, or someone already tried to implement this, and we need to just implement something else and additionally. So it's hard to like describe some special experience.
Cool.
Did you probably practically experienced it? How did you manage to, like, let's say you have a team of 5 people that originally were ops. And let's say you provide which parts of the 5 people would you move to the SRE? To this specific?
I'm not sure that we need to move someone to the
No, you
SRE.
don't have more resources. You're limited. How much would you say would still be reasonable? Like, is one person enough? Like, it's the real project.
I got
You
you.
have
Yeah.
10 people team.
Yeah, I got
Like,
your question.
2 is enough. 1 is enough. So how much impact do you gain by moving one critical person out into this mechanism? In the long term, the value gains. How did you feel something?
Well, I would say that I prefer to share SRE principles with existing teams and do not create additional if we have enough capacity to do so, and just to use as the best practices, right, for everyone. But definitely if we are talking about some very big organization, like where we have operations, system engineers, security, operations, developers, QAs, and so on, and where focus for the teams are really like strict and not wide. In that case, I believe in big organization, it at least must be, I would say, 5-7 people if we don't plan to have them with on-time shifting, like support activities, on-call activities. So at least 5 or 7. But again, it depends, yeah, of the size of the teams. Yeah.
Yeah, question. When you were mentioning about postmortems, it reminded me about essays. Is there any difference between those two terms, or it's pretty much the same?
Well, actually, I would say in this SRE, it described pretty like short, like it's just a report that suggests to you use listed information, but again, you are open to use some other principles. Like in the ITIL, as an example, we also have some kind of reports, like after incident and with list of information. So I would say we don't need to use this only as a first point of truth, and we need to think what information is the most important for us. So definitely, we may combine different and organize something that will suit us better. Any other questions? Okay.
But do you like more milk or dark?
Milk?
Very good. So milk chocolate.